I got a story to tell, every word of it true, except for the parts I made up for you. Just some history that has been reworded into a mystery called The Way I Heard It.
Well, we haven't done one of these in a while.
No, we have not.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited. This is good news. This is fun.
It's the original The Way I Heard It, hearkening back to the day when a short story for the curious mind with a short attention span would be read live.
Right.
Before even the reenacting began, wherein The Way I Heard It turned into a TV show called The Story Behind the Story.
It's very confusing, Mike.
And then eventually a film called Something to Stand For.
Which uses stories from the podcast. This podcast has gotten a lot of mileage.
Well, remember, it was also a book called The Way I Heard It.
But it started as a podcast.
It did.
Okay, the book was second, then the TV show, then the movie. So you got all that. But
we've been at this a while.
People who've been listening to the podcast for like the last 4 years may not know that there were short stories at the beginning of the thing.
You may be among the cohort to whom Chuck refers. If so, what you're about to hear is probably a 7-minute story. It's a true story. Mm-hmm. And in real time, it is the Marine's birthday. This is 10 November.
That's right.
Which would make you think, well, this will be a story about the Marines, and maybe it is. But maybe it's not.
Maybe not. You never know with these things.
You don't know, but November 10th is a big day, and it is, in fact, the anniversary of, I think, something rather momentous, something we should reflect upon. So let me just share this story with you real quick, and then you and I will have a little chat, and we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Shall we?
Yes.
All right. I call this one a lesser-known vessel. And it goes a little something like this. The transmission came over the shortwave radio at exactly 2100 hours. It was a simple request buried in a sea of static, delivered by a man accustomed to giving orders. "We've lost contact with McSorley," the voice said. "Can you get back out there?" Captain Cooper looked at his radio and cocked his head. Maybe he had misheard. Maybe the voice, buried in the static, was just indulging in a bit of gallows humor, as military men sometimes do. When the danger is so clear and so present, there's nothing to do but joke. Captain Cooper turned up the volume and asked the man to repeat his request. The man did, and this time there was no mistaking the gravity of the situation. McSorley and his men had gone dark. They were surrounded by a ruthless enemy who would take no prisoners, and Captain Cooper was now being asked to charge back into the fray to rescue men who were probably already dead. Captain Cooper's initial reaction was not exactly enthusiastic. "Have you seen the conditions out there?" he said. "If you really want me to go, I'll go back, but the situation is untenable. Do you understand?" Today, you can hear the actual recording of Captain Cooper's words on YouTube, exactly as he spoke them on that fateful night. If you listen to it, and I hope you will, you'll hear the Coast Guard explaining the situation to him in no uncertain terms. "Captain Cooper, I can't order you to risk the lives of your crew. I can only tell you that we are 20 hours away, and we can't get a Jayhawk into the air, not in these conditions. And those men out there are in grave danger. You are their only hope." Captain Cooper closed his eyes and sighed. Even if McSorley and his crew were still alive, which was unlikely, they wouldn't be for much longer. He thought about his family and the lives of his own crew. He gathered his men in the wheelhouse and explained the situation to them. Then he took a vote, which was, of course, unanimous. And with that, Captain Cooper turned his ship around and sailed back into the nightmare he had just escaped, knowing full well his odds of success and his odds of survival were far from good. Over the next few hours, Captain Cooper and his crew held on for dear life as 35-foot waves hammered the deck of their ship, each swell pushing them further and further below the surface. There were moments, more than a few, when every instinct in Captain Cooper's body demanded he turn his ship around and head back to the safety of Whitefish Bay. But he didn't, because ultimately Captain Cooper knew it could have been him out there, struggling to stay afloat in the frigid waters, wondering if anyone knows where the love of God goes when the waves turn the minutes to hours. So Captain Cooper stayed the course, and when he finally arrived at McSorley's last reported location, he found what he expected to find. Nothing. Just a few empty life jackets, a shattered lifeboat, and no sign of survivors. Today, 50 years later, the legend lives on, thanks to the famous ballad that honors McSorley's famous ship, now consigned to the shadowy depths of the big lake they call Gitchagumi. You know the song. In fact, you can probably sing along with the incomparable Gordon Lightfoot, who calls his haunting tribute to Captain Ernest McSorley and his doomed ship the best thing I ever wrote. But what about the spirit of Captain Cooper, a lesser-known ballad sung by a lesser-known balladeer? That little ditty never made it onto the charts, but you can listen to it on YouTube right now. And I hope you will, because the ballad of Captain Cooper tells the true story of a lesser-known vessel called the Arthur Anderson and its lesser-known captain. A captain named Bernie Cooper, who sailed back into a killer storm to rescue 29 doomed men who went down with their ship when the gales of November came early. Sadly, Captain Cooper failed to save a single soul that day, but he tried. He and his crew, they tried with everything they had. That's why they were so warmly welcomed by the wives and the sons and the daughters of those who perished in that most famous of wrecks. It was there, in that musty old hall in Detroit, called the Maritime Sailors' Cathedral, that hundreds of mourners gathered 50 years ago to weep and pray for the families they lost and thank the men who tried to save them, while the church bell chimed, till it rang 29 times for each man on the Edmund Fitzgerald. Anyway, that's the way I heard it.
And that's how the podcast got its name.
God, yeah, I got myself.
Did you?
You know, the words of that song, man, the words are haunting.
Yeah.
What Lightfoot wrote melodically is just beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, speaking of YouTube, our friend Rick Beato breaks that song down.
Uh-huh.
And that made me cry too, man. But just listening, it was just so simple and so epic and so poetic.
Yeah.
Right? The wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. And that song just sucked me in. And I guess it was like 9 years ago. You know, I knew this was...
You wrote that. Yeah, this was episode 58 originally.
Yeah.
This was, yeah.
But you know when I wrote it?
I'll remember as soon as you tell me, yes.
Pardon the interruption, but I just learned that nearly 100% of the sweatshirts and T-shirts for sale in this country that say USA on the front are actually made overseas. Now, that's not illegal, but it is kind of sad, don't you think? I mean, who needs that level of cognitive dissonance in their outerwear? I don't. That's why I bought this sweatshirt at American-Giant.com, and you should too. These are soft and thick and durable, and most importantly, they're made in factory towns in this country by Americans who are keeping the textile industry alive. Barely, but alive. Go to American-Giant.com. Pick up a sweatshirt for Christmas. You can get any color you want, as long as it's red, green, or white. I think. They've got all the essentials. Everything is made in this country. They've got some great sales going on. They've even got some MicroWorks gear. You pick up anything with a MicroWorks logo, and 100% of the net proceeds comes back to fund our next round of work ethic scholarships. Win, win, win. No cognitive dissonance. Come on. Be a giant. American-Giant.com/Mike. Thank you.
American Giant, American made, American Giant, American made.
I wrote it not long after Hillary Clinton was testifying about the
What difference does it make when you wrote it, Mike, at this point?
Benghazi.
Right.
It was all in the news, right? It was Chris Stevens who was killed
Right.
in the attack on the embassy in Benghazi, and they were doomed. And the men who were guarding him, they were doomed. And I just read this account of like the chatter on the airwaves of people at a base a couple hundred miles away, and they knew the battle was happening, and they wanted to come and get them, but they were ordered
To stand down.
Yeah. And I wish I could remember the name of the guy they interviewed, but he said that the single hardest thing in his professional military career was to be told you couldn't go.
Right.
And when he said why, he said because there's just the odds of getting them are so small. And that just simply was not what should have been said, and it's not what that kid wanted to hear. And so that was on my mind, and
Right.
a lot.
I mean, it's a very similar situation in that the captain of the Anderson is asked to go do something that is equally, it's tilting at windmills.
Well, it's kind of backwards because it's not military,
right. Yeah.
right? But there's a law of the sea, and I don't know if it's written down, probably is, but I know from the guys up, in the Bering Sea, those crab captains are super competitive. I've seen them fight. I've seen them brawl in bars with each other.
But if somebody goes down, or if somebody goes overboard, they'll come and do what they can.
Well, certainly, if your own crew is in peril, but you talk to those guys, it wouldn't even matter. It could be any vessel,
Right. That's what I mean.
any ship, anywhere within range, any problem. It's just everybody goes. It's not even a conversation. I had heard of McSorley. I knew McSorley was the captain of the Fitz, but I knew nothing about the Arthur Anderson.
Right.
And I certainly knew nothing about Bernie Cooper. And then, you go down these rabbit holes on YouTube and so forth, and suddenly I find this when I found it, I had like 210 views. It had been up for years. But
the song.
The song,
Right.
the spirit of Captain Cooper.
Right.
Which you really should listen to. I would love to play it right now, but I'm so sick of getting demonetized and angry letters.
I can show you what it looks like.
Yeah,
so
show
that people can
them what it looks like.
People can find it.
There it is.
It's called The Spirit of Cooper.
The Spirit of Cooper.
SS Arthur M. Anderson. That's the thing. In your story, you said Arthur Anderson. It's the Arthur M. Anderson.
Yeah. Well, I think technically the Edmund Fitzgerald may have had like those big freighters. They were all named, after real people. And I'm sure there's a big story about who Arthur Anderson really was, and who Bernie Cooper really was. That I think, I don't know if that was a picture of McSorley from the Fitz.
I think that was McSorley, the picture.
I think it is
anyway,
too. But
I shouldn't even be having this up.
You know what? It's no big deal. We don't have music. I don't think we're going to get in trouble. But yeah. I mean, the internet is just filled with tributes, and it's like the longer this goes, and the more Gordon Lightfoot's song, continues just to reach like new generations, like the more like mysterious and haunting this whole wreck is. And you can find footage, like they found the Fitz, obviously, and when they do that, seeing that underwater through that weird green haze, listening to, sometimes they play Lightfoot's song, and sometimes I think they play like Amazing Grace on bagpipes.
Oh, right. Yeah, I've seen
My
that. Yeah.
God, dude, it's so moving, and there's just something about a wreck, you know.
This is the other video that people should go see, Edmund Fitzgerald radio conversation and air search and rescue mission, which is what this story, a lot of it is based on, because it's there. It's got the record from November 10th, 1975, 50 years ago today.
Yeah. And I just, all I can, I'm certainly not an expert on the subject, but I was actually up at a cabin, my buddy's cabin in Fallen Leaf Lake.
When you wrote this?
When I wrote it. Around the same time, the Benghazi stuff was in the news, and there are a lot of shipwrecks in Tahoe, too, that nobody ever talks about or things, and they're old.
How deep is Tahoe?
There are parts of Tahoe that are so deep and so cold. Like, they found a wreck down there. This is years ago, and it was like sometime in the early 1800s. And the bodies
were still preserved?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's creepy.
It's super creepy. So this robot is going through like this galleon, and the people are just there, and like it's that stuff's in cold storage,
right?
For real. So, I mean, this is all these different elements. It's like finding a wreck and then learning about the wreck. And then, I mean, we've had guests on here, shipwreck treasure hunters, my friend Greg Stem and Jason Williams and so forth. It really does get in your blood. And whether it's the Central America, or the Islander,
gold,
all of that is already super emotional. And then you throw a song like Gordon Lightfoot's onto it, and now it becomes a legend. The legend becomes a legend.
Yeah, right.
And then in real life, you find these weird little things that kind of rhyme with it. And then it was that last thing you put up, and I can't believe this is out there, but the way everything gets connected, you suddenly find the actual transmission between a captain in the Coast Guard and Captain Bernie Cooper. And it's like the most human moment.
Oh, you can hear it in his voice. When he's asked, he's like, sorry, you want to come back? You want to say that one more time?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot.
Have you seen the reports of the conditions out there?
Because if not, I'll tell you, I just sailed through it.
Right.
The guy just sailed through it.
Yeah.
So
right.
so you know that he and his crew, and remember, these freighters, they are like hundreds of yards long.
Oh, yeah.
Like multiple
and the
football
Fitzgerald
fields.
was the biggest.
The Fitz was huge, and it was filled with
729 feet long.
Think of that. It's over 3 football fields. Is that right? 3,
No.
6, 9. No, it's 2.5 football fields.
Okay, I'll buy that.
I think that's right.
Yeah, a yard is 3 feet, 600, and then an extra 129.
But it's not a pleasure boat, man. It's low and it's huge, and this thing was weighed down with, I forget, it starts with the T, the word, like tan. I think it might be tannerite.
Oh, it could be tannerong.
No, I think it's tannerite. I think it's like
right.
Tannerite is
tomato.
like, well, it's iron ore, right? You know those little
Which
plastic,
apparently is very heavy.
It's super heavy. The plastic, like I think they're called nurdles.
Yeah, the plastic bits that they make all the plastic things with, that
Right.
are everywhere in the ocean, and fish eat them and they're dying. And
Right.
we're all full of plastic. It's terrible.
All right. Way to bring it down. But tannerite I think it's just like these small beads of
Right.
Iron. So it was so heavy, like thousands of tons, and to be caught in a blow like that with that much weight in a ship that can't really can't handle waves. You've got to be oriented just right because the beam in that thing is so long.
Well, they think that there's a thing called hogging where it bends and you get a crack in the hull in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's what they believe happened to it. And then it filled up with water super fast.
Yeah.
And didn't break apart until it hit bottom is what they now think.
So these guys left Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The weather was okay. There were some reports. And this was their sister ship. And this happened a lot. So two would stay together, often within sight of each other, but never more than a mile or so apart. And they got separated in the blow. It came out of the north, and actually, what's Gordon say? In the face of a hurricane west wind, but also, could that be the north wind that comes stealing?
Oh,
where they'd been feeling.
Oh, man.
Anyway, it came out of. It's just
the whole thing is poetry for sure.
I mean, supper time came. The old cook comes on deck.
Right,
fellas, it's too rough to feed you.
Yeah.
7 a.m. The main hatchway gave, fellas, it's been good to know you.
Right.
They knew.
Yeah.
They must have. But they lose contact with the Anderson.
Yeah.
And then they lose contact with the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
And then nobody's talking to anybody. And Bernie and his guys, they make it through. They're in Whitefish Bay. They're safe.
Yeah.
And their sphincters are relaxing. And then they get the call.
Yeah.
Hey, I hate to bother you, but if you could turn around
and go back into that shitstorm.
Yeah.
35-foot waves. And the Fitzgerald, I learned, was only 17 miles from Whitefish Bay.
It's very close.
Very, very close. And that's where it sunk. I have a couple of interesting facts that I found.
Do share.
Since we were doing this. The ship was nicknamed the Pride of the American Flag. Mm-hmm. And they referred to it as the Big Fitz or the Mighty Fitz, and it was launched in 1958. But this one's very interesting. The ship's owner was Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company. Right. Did you know this already?
I did.
So they insured their own vessel, which, where do you go? Yeah.
What a deal. We got a deal for you.
That they found the bell. They brought the bell up in 95, and they ring it every year, 29 times. 200-pound bell, and they replaced it. They made a replica of the Fitzgerald's bell, and they engraved all 29 men's names on it, and then they put it back on the floor
in the wreck.
Yeah. So the bell that's up in the museum now that they ring every year, that's that they'll ring today.
Yeah,
that's the real one.
Could be ringing right now, in real time. I don't know when you guys are listening to this, but
so it was the captain's last trip.
Yes, McSorley was short, as they say. He was retiring. He was done. He'd had a storied career. Oh, you can if you want to take a deep dive online, there's full biographies of the 29 men, and
one of them, it was their first voyage.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old guy named Carl Peckel.
Yeah. I'd worked on Deadliest Catch for 22 years, and that very first season we went up there before we even knew.
Right.
Before we even knew what the series was, a boat called the Big Valley went down.
Yep.
And it was just so stunning. You're making a TV show. It's everything is sort of the lens of a camera it's like a prophylactic, it's between you and what's real.
Yeah.
Nothing you see through that could really be real.
Right.
But this was very real, the boat was there and that was just gone, and 6 guys died. And I went to the service for that. And it's just, this little Greek Orthodox church on Dutch, and people gather and bells ring, hymns are sung, those in peril on the sea. Somebody sings that, and it's just, it's such a powerful mix of reverence and grief, but something else that's just not present in other kinds of memorials and really other kinds of catastrophes. There's the epic. There's something epic to it, and it just sticks with you.
What's the expression about, a story, like what turns a story into a legend? And in this case, it's the song. That song turned this story into a legend.
Yeah,
It's bigger than, it's a big event. 29 people died, but it's spread far and wide. So many people know that this story, and if you know the words, you know the whole story pretty much.
That's it. Oh, yeah. As a verbal exercise, like Lightfoot gets all the credit in the world for music all the time, but he's so economical with the words in this song.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's not a wasted syllable.
Right.
He tells you, and there's no chorus.
I know. It's so weird.
The song has no
verse after verse after verse.
There's no hook.
Yeah.
This happened, and then this happened. This other thing happened after that.
Yeah. And sometimes it goes down, and then sometimes it goes up. Happened after that.
You can almost make that melody work with the national anthem if you sing it like Gordon Lightfoot.
Okay.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? It's the twilight. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah.
I don't know that it actually matches.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light?
And why the Irish accent? What happened there?
I don't know.
It just comes about?
When in doubt. It's kind of Canadian.
No. It's, say, can you see? Oh, Canada, oh, Canada.
Well, you know what? Obviously, there's nothing funny about this, but this is like in the story. Sometimes it is a gallows kind of.
Well, you mentioned that. Yeah.
I did mention that thing. A lesser-known vessel. The Anderson is lesser known than the Fitz. Mm-hmm. A lesser-known captain. Bernie Cooper, lesser known than Ernest McSorley, obviously. A lesser-known balladeer. Gordon Lightfoot versus a guy whose name I can't recall.
Wait a minute, hold on. I did have it written down here.
Yeah, we should at least give a shout out to the balladeer.
We absolutely should. The Ballad of Bernie Cooper, it was two writers, Pat Daly and Fred Buhner.
Great.
And Daly performed it.
Mm-hmm.
He's well known for Great Lakes ballads. I didn't know that was
It's a thing.
It must be, yeah. It's in the folk style. Yeah, you'd have to watch it. Go to the YouTube. And check it out.
Yeah, do it. It's not
Gordon Lightfoot.
It's not Gordon Lightfoot. but like everything about certainly everything about Dirty Jobs and everything about my misspent career is the lesser known vessel.
Sure. And this, what's great about it is that it's such a tribute to true bravery. This captain got his crew together and said, hey, we don't have to do this, and no shame if you don't want to do it, but who's going to go? And every hand went up.
And that is why, that's how a song becomes a ballad, and that's how an event becomes a legend.
Yeah.
You're right. I think it would have already been legendary in certain circles.
Yes.
But what the song does...
Yeah.
It just blasts it out of the Great Lakes culture.
We grew up in Baltimore, and we knew the story of this ship going down.
Right. The Great Lakes were a mystery to me as a kid. I'd flown over them once in a while, but I'd spent very little time in the Midwest as a boy. The Chesapeake I understood, and I'd certainly been to oceans. But, you hear these stories about, it's difficult to understand just how great the Great Lakes are. How
great they are, yeah. How great thou art.
They're huge, dude. They are huge. And they've got their own... What are you laughing at?
Nothing. I'm not laughing at all.
I was embarrassed for our country after Benghazi. I was. And I felt bad for the men who wanted to try and save those guys, but couldn't. I was angry at the idea that Mrs. Clinton could shrug it all away with, well, at this point, what difference does it make? So that was going on. For what it's worth, I mean, hopefully these stories all rhyme with something bigger or, not so literal. But also, it's just the quiet dignity and bravery of people you've never heard of in situations.
Ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
That's it.
And we've talked about this before. Like, none of us really knows. Can we? Will we be the person who sees something going on the train and goes, "I've got to stop that."
So I mean that
risking life and limb.
Yeah, on the plane. Are you Todd Beamer?
Oh my gosh!
Are you on Flight 93, sitting there paralyzed, or do you say, "Let's roll"?
Yeah.
It is so easy to sit back and go,
I would have done that.
Rolling,
of course. Are you kidding me? We're going.
Yeah, I'm going right after you. You go first.
No, I don't want to
who else is with you? I hate to be rude.
Oh, we're going.
We're all going.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're not.
And then you find yourself in that situation, and then you really know if you're going to go.
Then you know. So, yes, that. And the same thing on the train. You're talking about the one in Paris, right? Yeah, man. Yeah. So it's just... The plane is full of people who don't get up and do something.
That's right.
The train is packed with people.
That's right.
Who don't. And the seas are filled with people who would say, not just say, do you know what's going on out there? Have you seen that? Plane people would say that. Very few would go, okay. Yeah, okay. Just so we're clear. He was. That's what I would say is the most noble thing in the story. That Bernie Cooper was scared for himself and for his men, and he did it anyway.
Yeah.
And the two guys whose names I didn't even have the courtesy to memorize.
Right.
Also
Pat and Fred.
Pat and Fred came to that same conclusion.
Yeah.
And said, well, okay, we're no Gordon Lightfoot, but Bernie Cooper deserves to be remembered.
Yep.
And maybe YouTube will let us or help us do that. And so here's the world we're in today. I know about Captain Cooper because two guys, Pat and Fred, wrote a song that I somehow found. And somebody else somewhere who thought this whole tale was interesting enough to memorialize put up the actual chatter between the Coast Guard
which
and
is
Cooper.
amazing.
Incredible.
It really is. Yeah.
So to sit down and get to triangulate seemingly random little points of relevance, and then get to write a story, and then get to read it to you, and then share it, and so forth and so on. Well, that's a good thing to do on 10 November.
Indeed.
So happy birthday to the Marines. Not what this story was about, but not really what it was not about. The few, the proud, right?
Sure.
You do the hard thing. You answer the call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cooper did.
Yeah, he did. All right. Maybe we'll do this again sometime.